Halo pendengar Trijaya, kembali lagi dalam program Ngobar alias Ngobrol bareng Trijaya FM. Dan biasanya program ini ya, ada juga program 5 benua yang bercerita tentang warga negara Indonesia yang berpuasa di negeri orang. Tapi kali ini ngobarnya spesial banget karena kenapa? Kita akan ngobrol-ngobrol dengan WNA atau warga negara asing yang berpuasa di Indonesia. Nah, kira-kira siapakah tamu kita pada kesempatan kali ini? Nah, beliau adalah Bapak William Trigg yang merupakan pejabat dinas luar negeri dengan pengalaman pembangunan internasional selama 12 tahun memimpin pertumbuhan ekonomi, upaya antar lembaga dan juga kerjasama sipil militer. Spesialisasinya nih pendengar Trijaya meliputi pembentukan kebijakan dalam perdagangan, koordinasi regional dan juga keterlibatan urusan multilateral. Perjalanan tugas beliau kemana aja? Nah, ini perjalanan tugas Mr. Trigg meliputi USAID Central Asia dari Kyrgyzstan, kemudian 2 kali di USAID Afghanistan, ada juga di Nigeria, ada Central Asia, kemudian Kosovo, dan yang terbaru nih di ASEAN berlokasi di Jakarta, Indonesia. Dan kita akan langsung ngobrol-ngobrol. Saya akan sapa-sapa ini langsung ada Mr. Trigg yang sudah gabung bersama kita di sini. Halo Mr. Trigg, how are you?
Hello, good afternoon.
Good afternoon. I call you Mr. Trigg or Mr. Will.
Mr. Either one is fine for me.
Either one.
Whichever you prefer.
Okay, it's okay, all right?
Yeah.
Thank you so much for your time to do the interview with Trijaya FM. Thank you so much.
Thank you for having me.
Okay, Mr. Trigg, anyway, my first question, how long have you been in Indonesia? How do you feel in Indonesia?
So I've been in Indonesia approximately 2.5 years,
Okay.
so around 30 months. I got here in 2019 in the month of July. And yeah, I feel pretty good. It's home for me.
Oh, okay. So it's already for twice for Ramadan in Indonesia, right?
That is correct, yes.
Yeah. So how do you feel fasting in Indonesia actually?
It's quite easy, I think. It certainly is helpful to be in a majority Muslim country because I know when to start fasting and I know when to stop. Because it's quite apparent by the people and of course the adhan and some other things that make it easy to know when
I start
and when to stop.
Yeah. So how about the weather? Is it important or is it a problem for you? Because in Indonesia the weather is mostly hot. It's difference between another country. What do you think about that?
Certainly, and I'm glad you asked because the temperature and the heat here make it more difficult. That is correct. However, because you're close to the equator here in Indonesia, it's approximately 12 to 14 hours, and it's pretty regular, and it's pretty consistent. So during the week, it's fine for me because I'm in an air-conditioned office mostly during the week. But on the weekend with my children, I'm outside, and then it's much more difficult.
Okay. Then, what are difference between Indonesia and United States when during the Ramadan?
Yeah. So in the U.S. during Ramadan, everyone is eating. At least the majority of of people I would be around. So they're eating all day during the day, and so I've gotten quite used to that throughout my life. So it feels a little bit more like I'm doing something unique and something that's kind of my own, and I feel a little bit more tested because there's so much food around.
Nice.
So it feels like I'm doing a little bit more work, let's say more spiritual work. And I've learned to prefer that over my life, having being in surroundings where I'm a little bit more challenged. But that would be the main difference, is that really nothing kind of changes during Ramadan in the United States.
So also for the time, right? In Indonesia, more short than in the U.S., right?
Certainly in the summer
Yeah.
times.
Mm-hmm,
In the
mm-hmm,
summertime, we break our fast very late,
mm-hmm,
depending on where you are in the country.
mm-hmm,
Like Indonesia, the United States is a fairly large country,
mm-hmm.
and so yes, I can remember some years fasting until 9, 10 p.m. But in the wintertime, I can remember fasting only
Oh,
until 4:35 p.m.
wow.
When you're in, say, northeastern
Mhm.
United States.
Mhm. Oke, jadi pendengar Trijaya ini banyak banget ternyata yang udah di-sharing di awal-awal. Jadi pengalaman bagaimana Mister Trigg ini berpuasa antara di Indonesia dengan juga di Amerika. Kalau di Indonesia ternyata Mister Trigg ini cukup menantang ya di siang hari, tapi kalau di weekday itu biasanya santai-santai aja karena di pekerjaan cuacanya juga cukup dingin biasanya karena di kantor. Tapi kalau di weekend ini yang cukup menantang. Oke, kita lanjut lagi pendengar Trijaya ngobrol-ngobrol bersama Mister Trigg. Kalau kita bicara nanti soal culture ya, saya akan tanyakan kepada beliau. Is there a culture shock during Ramadan in Indonesia?
For me, the biggest cultural shock is just the food. That's it.
Why?
Because the food, I think that you open your fast with is a little bit different. Aside from water and dates, which everyone has, I think all over the world where people fast. The food here is, of course, like a lot of Asian food, it's spicy.
So sometimes it's really hard for you, right?
So I happen to like spicy food, but
Yeah.
not everyone in my family. So it's
okay.
difficult to make sure we have a variety of food there. So that's probably different, but that's different almost in every country I go to. So the food is a little bit different. And I would say maybe it's where I'm located in the city. It just depends on the day for whether I hear the Taraweeh prayers or not, and if they're doing them out loud through the loudspeakers. So that's also a bit different.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. How about the Taraweeh itself? We pray at night. Do you do that?
Yeah. So because of COVID,
Yeah.
I have, regretfully, I've shied away from many of the mosques. That doesn't mean I've stopped entirely, but I pick and choose. So let's say more strategically when I want to go.
Okay.
But yeah, unfortunately, I've not been to Taraweeh prayers in Jakarta yet.
Do you can share with us how the differences during Ramadan in many countries that you ever in Nigeria and then Central Asia, right? So can you explain to us or share to us how about your experience during Ramadan?
So I would say probably the liveliest country I've fasted in was probably Turkey. It was in Istanbul. I would compare it here to Jakarta. Lots of people are fasting and lots of things change and are organized around the fast. I would say probably some of the more difficult ones just because of the time of year. I fasted summertime in Afghanistan. That was very difficult. But I would say in Central Asia, they typically eat later. So even if the sun goes down, they'll break their fast, but with a very, very small meal. Dates, water, maybe soup. But they don't change the time they cook their meal, their iftar. That will be according to when the family eats. And so you might be able to break your fast, but you will wait until a regular dinner is kind of served. They tend to stay in the normal routine as opposed to making it, let's say, every night a special celebratory event. So I found that to be different. I would say there's many, many, many more similarities then there are differences fasting in the different countries that I have, from Uzbekistan to Turkey to Kosovo to Nigeria to Tajikistan to Afghanistan to Indonesia. There's a lot more similarities than there are differences.
Okay, because we are the Asian food, and mostly it's something like a middle. It seems like a Middle East food.
There's if you're used to, say, food that I see here in Indonesia that you have access to, and I know food is very, very important for Indonesians. I think half the conversations I have are about makanan. So
because there's so many variant in Indonesia.
Yeah, but it's the most places I've been. They're focused on meat and kebab and rice.
Yeah.
Kind of oily, salty, tasty kebabs and rice, and these types of dishes. Dishes that will make you gain a lot of weight, but they're very, very good.
So, what's your favorite food, actually?
I like a mix of things. So there's a lot of Indonesian foods that I like. So I like rendang, and I like nasi goreng, and so I will have those occasionally. I've had them at least twice in 2 weeks for iftar. In the last 2 weeks of Ramadan, I've had rendang. What else? Gado gado.
Oh, yeah, right. Do you know tajil?
I don't think so. There's a sweet soup that I've had.
Yes, something like that. So
so I've had that for an iftar also. For the opening, for the berpuasa, yes. So.
Yeah. Okay. So there's a lot in Indonesia. And any favorite food, especially in US, do you miss a lot when you go back to Indonesia and during Ramadan?
So almost at every U.S. iftar, doesn't matter which community or where the diaspora is from. So I'm talking, it could be Arab, Pakistani, Iranian, Turkish, anything, Somali, Nigerian, anyone who's doing their fasting typically and has an iftar in the United States, they usually have pizza. So if you don't like anything, someone will make pizza and bring pizza or order it. And so there's always pizza at an iftar. And so maybe I missed that.
There's no many choices, right, in iftar in the US, right?
So it depends on what you're doing. So and where you're doing it. So if you're with family, you'll make your traditional meals at home, which for me, my wife is from Uzbekistan, but she's Crimean Tatar, and so they have their own very special dishes that they make, and so I should eat that and consume that.
Okay, Mr. Reed, once more, have you ever heard about ngabuburit? It's something like killing time in Indonesia before breaking the fast. Have you ever heard about ngabuburit? Yeah. So what are you doing? What are you doing in killing time before iftar that we call it ngabuburit?
Yeah. So ngabuburit. Let me tell you, the first time I heard about it was here in Indonesia, and it is a fantastic word. I think I will use that for the rest of my life, because it describes something I've been doing most of my life, and I didn't understand. It didn't have a word for it. Okay. So I'm taking this word with me for forever, and because it's meaningful and it's applicable to all my friends that fast, and I can use that with them. So, what do I typically do while trying to kill time while I'm hungry? Okay, so. If it's way before the fast, so I mean like way before breaking the fast, which is say mid-afternoon or something like that, maybe even in the mornings, I like to watch movies.
Oh, okay.
So if I can watch movies 2 or 3, that will kill like 6 or 7 hours. But the fact is that as I get closer to iftar, closer and closer, I think the best way to kill time is to sleep. So
That's mostly people do in during Ramadan, killing time before iftar or talk each other, chit chat each other.
I do both of those.
Yeah.
Typically, I can't take a nap for more than 90 minutes. So it has to be within 2 hours of breaking the fast. If it's outside of that, I don't bother to sleep, just because I know I'll wake up and I still won't be able to eat.
Okay. Do you have any plan to go back to the US before Eid, maybe?
Unfortunately, no.
Okay.
I'd like to go back to the U.S. for Eid, because, of course, that's where a lot of friends and family are. And I like to visit, obviously, friends, family, relatives. But I will be here for Eid. It will be my second Eid here in Indonesia. And there's a good community here at the U.S. Mission to ASEAN and U.S. Embassy to Indonesia. And we also have time off. So people get together and they visit each other. And so, we're looking forward to enjoying our Eid here in Jakarta.
Okay. Okay, Mr. Trigg, before we close our station, maybe you have any special comment or special statement for Trijaya FM listeners during Ramadan or before it?
Yeah.
We will cut your statement. Okay, so go ahead.
Sure. So I guess, I would just remind all the listeners that you have plenty of people that are thinking about you in the U.S. when they're fasting. They're fasting just like you. There's a very large community in the United States. Some are Indonesian. They're usually in California and the West Coast, but you can find them in a few other places. They are doing the same things that you are doing. And they come from all walks of life, and with all types of educations. And I think if you ever get to visit the U.S., you would enjoy that diversity, and that you would have a group that you can also go through an entire day observing the Ramadan fast with. And I would invite you to do that one day if you can. And I will always remember Indonesia for the happy and polite and considerate Indonesian people that I've met while I've been here. And I'm taking a few things with me, like I said, like Nagububurit and Rendang. I will be seeking out Rendang throughout my life, wherever I am. So, and if I could give that message to Indonesia, and to your listeners, that is what it would be. Okay,
Padang is number one. Okay, Mr. Trigg, thank you so much for having and talk about Ramadan, your activity during Ramadan with Trijaya FM listeners. Thank you so much, and hope you enjoy during Ramadan in Indonesia until Idul Fitri. Thank you so much, Mr. Trigg.
Thank you. Terima kasih.
Terima kasih banyak. Dan pendengar Trijaya, demikian tadi obrolan saya bersama Mr. William Trigg ya dari USAID ya. Jadi bagi Anda pendengar Trijaya yang kayaknya nanti penasaran banget sebetulnya seperti apa dan bagaimana soal puasa gitu ya, terutama di Indonesia dan juga perbedaannya di beberapa negara yang tadi diceritakan, makanya jangan sampai kelewatan acaranya dan juga tune in ya. Oke? Dan saya Riri Arthakusuma pamit dulu undur diri. Terima kasih banyak. Selamat melanjutkan aktivitas Anda dan sampai jumpa.